You know a lot's gonna go down when a career mode video on my channel is longer than 25 minutes. Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 23 driver career mode here on the channel. Today we have the Austrian Grand Prix on the way, and it's an exciting one because Pirelli is bringing a new experimental tire actually this weekend to test and kind of try to save themselves from losing the tire contract for next season, as Bridgestone is trying to put some pressure on and get into the sport over top of Pirelli as their contract ends at the end of this season. We roll in to the Austrian Grand Prix weekend ready to experiment with these tires, and basically the tires, they wear quicker and they have a really more, I guess, kind of in-your-face fall-off point, you could kind of say. Basically, once the tire falls off, it falls off extremely hard to a point where Pirelli isn't quite sure what's actually going to happen. If the car is going to be able to stay on the racetrack, they don't know because they haven't actually had enough time to put in the testing. In practice here, you'll notice my HUD was a little bit screwed up. I was recording in the wrong settings because I was experimenting just beforehand, but I fixed it immediately going into qualifying. So you just have to bear with it for about 30 seconds. But yeah, overall, you know, coming off of a decent race in Silverstone after a rough qualifying effort, we had to, of course, do this big comeback, and we were able to get a top 5 out of it, so I was pretty happy with that. Austria is a pretty difficult circuit when it comes to qualifying, so I'm expecting a bit of a difficult day when it comes to qualifying, just like Silverstone, but hopefully we can at least make Q3 here this weekend. So FP1, it was okay. We were P12 on the board, Leclerc and Verstappen at the top, and I'm hearing that it's going to be a Leclerc announcement for departing Ferrari very, very soon, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I would not be surprised if we heard something as soon as next episode. But we were ready to get rolling here in Q number 1 in this Red Bull Ford now, hoping to, like I said, make Q3 really is the objective here today. In my first lap in Q1, it went okay. There was rain on the way, but the question was it actually going to hit the circuit? We weren't 100% sure yet. Lap 1, I was P11. I did make a second lap just trying to really get my comfort level up here on this circuit, actually going wide, but I don't get called for it because I slow down enough. We give up some time, but we still go faster. P10 here in Q1. It's a McLaren front row so far. Albon and Jackson out is Lawson, Ocon, Hughes, Mayer, and Butler, the two Conda Sport cars at the bottom. 3 British drivers all at the bottom as well. Q number 2 underway, and actually Q2, my opening lap didn't quite go to plan. Watch this right here, going through the left-hander, got too much curb. We go for a bit of a slide there. Fortunately, it doesn't ruin the tires. We get it collected. We get out still rolling in front of everybody, and we can make a second lap, and I didn't go quicker until, well, the obvious point of, you know, incident on the previous lap, and then we start gaining time. So the question is, are we going to make Q3 or not? We're going to find out through the final turn to the line. We have enough time to make another lap if we need it, but we go P10, and fortunately for me, nobody would improve, so we would stay P10. Ayumu Iwasa, Felipe Drugovich, Theo Porcher, Pierre Gasly, and Zhou Guanyu eliminated here now, but I was kind of expecting a similar result here in Q3. Like I said, it's pretty hard to qualify against AI when it comes to this circuit here in Austria, and it was proving to be difficult. So going down into the right-hander here, you know, a green sector 1, but that wasn't going to really cut it here. I was over 2/10 off at the end of sector 2, and that's just from getting into the top 6. So we come through the final turn, and we just continue to lose a bit more time as the lap goes on, really. We cross the stripe, and yeah, we're half a second off of just the top 6 position. So making a second and final attempt at a lap here. We gained a little bit of time, 2/10 of a second, and this lap would go quite a bit better. I mean, now we can see 3/10 of a second gain. We might even get up to 4/10. Yes, we do. Now 5/10, actually a purple sector 2, and we were looking really good on timing, but we come through the penultimate corner and the final corner, and we don't gain anything. We actually lose a little bit, so that's going to cost us in the long run. We're going to cross the stripe, and it just wasn't meant to be. We crossed the line P9, but Leclerc would improve drastically up to 4th, and Verstappen goes pole position as Albon and Sainz 2nd and 3rd, Jackson down in 6th, and we are down in P10. We know our race pace is better. Let's prove that on Sunday. Let's head to the grid for the race.
Welcome from the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, just edging out Alex Albon, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Jackson, Norris, Russell, Tsunoda, Golden Boy, Iwasa, Drugovic, Teo Pourchaire, Gasly, Joe, Liam Lawson, Ocon, Hughes, Mayer and Devon Butler rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me once again for coverage of today's race is none other than the great Anthony Davidson. The last few races have been a bit rough for them, unable to get a clean run. That's got to have some effect on their confidence, surely.
Certainly confidence is an important factor. And every time you're involved in an incident, it's not just the car you damage, but that confidence as well. But all the top racing drivers are able to tune that out when the race gets underway and focus on the job at hand.
We're ready to roll then here from Austria for the Grand Prix, starting P10 on the grid. Max Verstappen got his first podium of the season in Silverstone. Can he get his first win today? Look at the tire strategy. So you can see the difference here with the tires as well. There is rain on the way that could play a role, but you see some different tire strategies, some on mediums, some on softs. How quickly will these tires wear with this new experimental tire? Only one way to find out, and let's do that. Let's head to the start of the Grand Prix.
The formation lap gets underway and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that their car is ready for the battle once the lights go out.
A lot of uncertainty coming into this weekend now. Anything can happen. Nobody's safe wherever they're running as we get ready here. Verstappen out in front.
We're almost ready to start the race as the cars take their positions on the grid, with the drivers and teams making their final preparations.
All right, mate, not to concern you, but Pirelli is saying they really have no idea how this is going to go.
Well, that's promising to hear. Well, keep me updated. So you hear it there. Mark saying really Pirelli has no idea how this is going to go. How is the wet tire going to perform as well? Because it looks like we're going to be using those at some point, or at least the intermediates, I should say. The two Conesport drivers of Mayer and Butler round out the back of the grid as they get into their slots, and we're ready to go racing from the 10th starting position, looking for a good jump off the grid. Verstappen leads as it's going to be lights out. We're underway in the home Grand Prix for Red Bull. Ford now right to the back of Russell. He covers it off. Jackson, a terrible start. We tapped the back of Russell, who had to hit the brakes to avoid driving into the back of Jackson. We got no damage out of that, but not a good start. We're alongside Esteban Ocon here as we go drag racing on the run towards turn 1. Of course, they do count this right here as turn 2, so we're on the run up towards turn 3, but I count this as here turn 2 personally. But up the inside of George Russell into the corner, and that Mercedes not going to quite be enough here now as we continue though side by side on the run towards turn number 4. As you can see, everybody getting things sorted out here. Russell would actually be able to stay ahead of me, so I would settle in behind him. But Max Verstappen out in front. He was able to hold the lead of this Grand Prix. Of course, we saw him fighting for the win in the last episode, and I mean, his future with Red Bull is up in the air as well. It took him all the way to Silverstone to get his first podium, and now here he is in position to maybe go for another podium today or potentially a race victory. But it might not come easy because Carlos Sainz is eyeing him down. Sainz on the soft tire while Verstappen on the mediums. How are these softs going to perform early? Well, you can see right here, lap 2 now, up the elevation towards turn 3, and Sainz has put the attack to Verstappen. He'll go around the outside. The Spaniard is going to go to the front of this Grand Prix. In the background, you got Oscar Piastri also on the soft tire running in third. I'm still P12 behind Russell on the run down towards turn 4. We'll lunge one around the outside. He's nearly into the back of Aiden Jackson right there, but we try to get the grip on the exit. We get it, but that Mercedes just a bit too quick, and I don't want to go side by side in here, so I'm going to settle in behind and actually nearly make contact with the Mercedes. But DRS enabled on lap 3, and we have made no headway so far, but there's a lot of side-by-side action in front of us. Both of the BMW machines, Ziwasa as well as Dragovic inside the points, while they got quicker cars of Jackson, Russell, and myself into the mix 3 wide as we head up the hill here towards turn 3, side-by-side with Jackson. A deep lunge there into the corner, bit of contact. We push him a bit wide. We're going to get a warning for that one, rightfully so. Not what I was aiming to do, but we get through into P9 as I just drove in there a little bit too deep there. But nonetheless, we come through to lap 4 at this point, and Russell has already run me back down, and he is bringing Aiden Jackson with him. We are setting our sights on Felipe Dragovic, the rookie who has had a solid season so far. Look at this battle up front here. Everybody's going at it. Albon, Norris, as well as Leclerc. Norris on the inside is going to lunge deep into the corner. He misses the corner. Big contact there. They all come together. We're going to slip through and get 3 positions in one corner. The safety car will be deployed for that, and immediately Dragovic is coming in on the soft tire as well. That will put us into 5th place. So we have, I mean, massively won out here in this process of that accident and safety car. But look at this, Carlos Sainz coming into the pits as well, and you see the radio message coming up there, the team telling Carlos that it's not looking good on those softs. After just a few laps of racing, they wanted him to come in to play it safe, so he gives up the lead, and that puts Piastri in 2nd behind Verstappen as we were getting ready to go back racing. So Verstappen leads the field back to the green. Piastri is still out here on softs. We got Tsunoda and myself, Russell Jackson here in 4th, 5th, 6th, trailing this Aston Martin duo. And so far, at least, the softs fired off well, but the degradation is not looking promising with teams being concerned. So Pirelli, I'm sure at this point, maybe a little bit of concern. It's still early in the Grand Prix, a lot of time for things to play out as Aston Martin find themselves in a bit of a Red Bull Ford sandwich here. Now as we're trying to put a bit of pressure on the back of that Honda-powered machine of Yuki Tsunoda. We'll look to the left side and go wheel-to-wheel with Yuki here, our former teammate, of course. Now we always try to race him with a bit more respect than some of the other competitors, and actually going to be an easy pass right there. We'll take the 3rd spot away. Piastri is trying to put some pressure on the back of Max Verstappen now as we get an ETA on the rain about 15 minutes away. So that's something we're going to have to pay attention to now. But surprisingly, I could not run down Piastri. I couldn't get within his DRS. I was really struggling here. As you can see, some more battles here. This is outside of the top 10. Look at these drivers going at it right now. That's Joe, Gasly, Ocon, everybody. They're just squabbling about trying to get positions where they can. Everyone's going at it. A lot of soft tire presence back there now as well. Look at Felipe Dragovic on the new set of softs. Absolutely flying. He's nearly back into the points here. The BMW rookie looking to get some points today finally now. As you can see, more battles right there into the next corner. Dragovic completes the pass finally on Joe. We still run P3, but we're about 1 second back. But on lap 10, the gap to Oscar Piastri was really starting to come down, and I felt like he was really starting to struggle on those softs. Look at that. You can just see through these corners right here. We are really able to gain some time, but then hold on. This was Tsunoda fighting up my inside, so that chance of going after Piastri was over because Tsunoda was just downright quicker than me, and I felt like my mediums were starting to kind of hit a fall-off point and almost like a point of no return basically now as we are looking for a move. But then Russell around the left side, I think he's going to get a 2-for-1 special maybe right here now, as he's also going to have the DRS. So yes, he is. He goes around me and Tsunoda in one corner. We are going to continue to fight side by side with Yuki. Could we go to the left side of Russell? Yes, we can. Deep into the braking zone there. Nearly contact between myself and the Mercedes again, side by side. But once again, I'm going to have to just kind of let Russell have it right there. Don't want to go side by side this early in the race. Now we got a spin at the back of the pack. That's Esteban Ocon, and he is trying not to get stuck here. This is actually going to bring out a safety car. So our second safety car of the day will be deployed, and it was all on his lonesome. The struggles for Alpine continue. The future of this team up in the air, the future of their drivers up in the air, as well as they are looking for an opportunity out at the end of the season. So safety car 2 of the day, and this is going to flood the pit lane. Verstappen, when the safety car came out, he was already passing the pits, so Verstappen cannot pit yet. but I think he's going to be okay because of the delta. He will probably pit on the next lap around. Everybody else, so, I mean, absolutely hustling in here because of the tire degradation. I think we got really lucky on the timing because I felt like my mediums had just hit that fall off point and I needed a new set of tires. We got double stacking happening. Teams do not want to risk staying out on these tires right now, but we will come through just in front of Aiden Jackson, behind George Russell as well as Oscar Piastri, so we will still settle out in P4. Verstappen would still maintain the lead after pitting on this next lap around just because of that time delta allowing him to stay ahead.
Okay, we're seeing a lot of wear on tyres. Everyone is finding the same thing.
Is that in a good way or a bad way though?
Not good. Softs can't even go 5 laps without an issue right now.
And we saw those drivers on softs hustling into the pit lane first opportunity they got, but Verstappen's going to control the pace. All 3 cars in front of us on soft tires. Verstappen, Piastri, Russell. We're back racing here from the Austrian Grand Prix a little over 20 laps ago. We know the rain is on the way. That's going to throw another curveball. But so far, yeah, it feels really up in the air on if this experimental tire project from Pirelli is going good or not. I'm not quite sure. There's a lot of unpredictability so far in this Grand Prix. At this moment, let me know if you guys like it or not like it. And then at the end of the episode, give me your feedback as well once you see everything play out here. Trying to stick with Russell and Piastri for as long as we can, but we just don't have the pace today. I mean, look at my teammate. I mean, of course, they're all 3 in front of us on soft tires, so I'm sure that plays a bit of a role, but I felt like I was just under a lot of pressure, consistently having to defend over the cars from behind, and look at this, even with the DRS, I wasn't bothering wasting my battery. Now, as we actually have issues, Jackson passes us, it's Russell. Russell has a mechanical failure here from the top 3, that's going to be the end of his day. We're going to go back at Jackson here, we'll get past him down the DRS straight, so we'll take P3 back for now, but it's going to be short-lived. We know Jackson has a very, very quick car, of course, winner of the last episode in Silverstone. He's been absolutely on fire. He had a rough qualifying effort compared to his teammate of Albon, but Albon has had the rough race so far now, but still time for things to go in Albon's direction. But yeah, I mean, just look at this. I didn't even bother defending at this point here. Just not the pace I need right now in this Red Bull Ford. I was really, really struggling. Jackson, a bit of oversteer right there, but I decided to just not push the issue. I know he's faster, so there's no point in fighting him and costing myself time as well. But you can see, look at this now. Norris has run me down. My mediums, I mean, they just weren't working. They were falling off a cliff already on lap 20 of this Grand Prix. You see the overcast skies. Rain is about to hit the circuit at this point now. It's just a matter of moments at this point here as we come through towards the end of lap 20, just trying to stay within the DRS, and we're doing an okay job of that right now. Within about 0.6 of a second of Norris as well as Jackson on that run towards turn number 1, just really driving the daylights out of this car at this point. Tsunoda behind, Leclerc up into P7 at this point as he's trying to finally finish a Grand Prix, but the rain is falling now as we go in towards turn 3. A purple sector 1 brings us right to the back of Norris, but the question is, how long will it take for this track to actually get wet? Now, Norris putting a bunch of pressure on the back of Aiden Jackson here. The fight is on between these two. Jackson maybe a bit slower than the Mercedes here today. Lap 23, I was really starting to struggle now as we actually have a yellow in the penultimate corner. I think a couple cars are actually trying to pit, but we'll have to wait and see what has happened over there. And look at this, oh my goodness. And that is Iwasa with contact with Carlos Sainz. He goes around, no safety car. We stay green, but I was really struggling all of a sudden, so I decided we're going to come into the pits and put on the intermediate tire. This might be a tad bit early, but I was really starting to lose time. You could see it at the moments there just before the pits. I'm really hoping we aren't screwing up with this call right here, but we're going to come in and put on the intermediate compound and see what happens here. Now, the rain is falling pretty good, so I was expecting, just based off of my experience in the F1 23 game, it's probably going to be wet in at lap maybe 2, so I think we're going to be okay. We'll come out behind Carlos Sainz there, but it would turn out pretty quickly that I think I'm going to be wrong, and quite significantly wrong. I've definitely screwed this up. You can see, I mean, the track is really not wet yet. I'm struggling. I mean, you can see the track appearance is a little bit different, and I felt like I kind of got tricked a little bit by it this time around. You can kind of see the shades of moisture on the track. You can really start seeing it now, though. So we've been on these intermediates for only a couple of laps. The problems, though, actually, Yuki Tsunoda. Tsunoda's got a tire puncture, and this Pirelli project really seems to be taking taking a turn for the worse now as Tsunoda's got issues, but look at the track as we were coming up on Tsunoda. Sainz is right behind him. We'll go around the outside. Cars are pitting, but they're not pitting for intermediates. They're pitting for softs. Norris is in on softs. Jackson is well on softs, and everyone's boxing for dry tires while the track is pretty evident, in my opinion, to be wet. But the intermediate wasn't doing anything, as we're going to go through the grid with 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix.
What a confusing race this has been, Martin. Soft tyres can't seem to go very far. And now the track looks wet enough for intermediates, but it's the dry tyre performing best.
I think we're all confused as the only car on intermediates is Owen, and you see him continuing to fall down the order. Ted, what can you tell us?
I can say a lot of teams are glad Owen did it first. Everyone is confused, and I've heard nothing good on the radios. Aston Martin is fuming right now over Tsunoda's tyre puncture. This is quickly turning into a mess for Pirelli.
So what happens from here, Martin? Does Pirelli make changes and try again, or try the safe route and do nothing at all?
I think today is going to be a big day for the future of tyre brands in F1, especially if it gets even worse before this race is over. You want to see them try something, but proper testing can't be done in the race. It needs to be in a proper testing session beforehand.
And that is through the grid in Austria.
And there you have, through the grid, as the wet tire was just not working. I mean, the track, I don't know how the intermediate's not hooked up at this point. Look at the circuit. I was so confused, and I'm wondering, is this a tire issue from Pirelli? Or is this something that would have happened on the normal tire and I've just gotten things completely wrong? I really don't know. I mean, look at this. I have no pace. Leclerc is going to go past me for P5, and it's starting to become pretty evident that we've absolutely botched the strategy here. I mean, and it was all my fault. I just called the shots too early, and I just couldn't do anything. Jackson to the back of me, just trying to stay out of his way at this point. And I was a little bit concerned now about the state of these intermediates. We don't know. Pirelli does not know what these tires are going to do once they hit a certain point in the degradation phase. So that was concerning to me. And how long are these tires going to hang on? Because look at this. I am really starting to struggle at this point now as the track gets wetter. The car's getting worse to drive on the inters. I never thought we would be saying that. You know, the inters just seem to not be working so far, as I was just slipping and sliding everywhere at this point now. Through turn 1, 7 laps to go, and still no sign of anybody needing to go onto a wet tire. Look at the circuit now. DRS finally disabled on lap 30, and now Verstappen's coming into the pits, and everybody's going to actually be flooding into the pits finally to put on a set of intermediate tires now as we go through the left-hander. There's no chance. It's gone around. Not even a chance to save it there, as it's a downfall of this tire compound. I had no chance there. I mean, it just went around with, you know, a little bit of a warning, but it was just kind of like, I felt like a passenger there. Joe's going to go past. I'm just trying to stay out of the way here. Everybody's going to be coming in right here, but look at this absolute beast to drive. Now, the rear tires are lit up hard, so I wasn't surprised. So I'm going to try and just cool the tires down, stay out, and gain some positions. I am just hanging on for my life, trying to get these tires to cool down, and we're just going to continue to go around. We'll gain a lot of time right here, but Verstappen, Piastri, Jackson, they're the top 3 already on their new inters. But look at this. I mean, even into the braking zone, the car is trying to crash now at this point, and I would continue on. I would spin again right here. I mean, I just had no chance. The car, the drop-off point, when this new tire project hits a certain point, the car just crashes. This is a disaster. I mean, I can't even drive it now.
Yep, bring it to us. We need a new set of tyres.
As we bring it in, we're still hanging on for dear life. I mean, look at this. Yeah, so when this tire hits a certain point, there is no chance of driving it. It's an absolute disaster, as there's appears to be a yellow actually behind us briefly, as I was just fighting for my life to get in now. So this is going to be a big meeting between Formula One and Pirelli, and I think team principals following this episode. Now, you see some time penalties, and I believe those were actually for drivers impeding Verstappen and not moving out of the way. But as we enter the circuit, look at the conditions now. It's absolutely miserable. Actually, we could have put on a set of wets it was that bad. It was absolutely pouring it out here in Austria at this point now. So it's not going to matter. We're just bringing it home. We are a lap down. We are one lap down to our teammate of Max Verstappen here in Austria. Call me Pierre Gasly from, what was it, like 2019 or whatever it was, when he was teammates with Max and got lapped by him. It's just been a disaster of a Grand Prix with this new tire project now. I don't know what's going to be in the future for it, but we were absolutely flying on this new set of inters. So drivers, I mean, once the tires seem to start to wear, they just have no pace at all, and just a couple laps difference allows multiple seconds. As you can see, I was running down Esteban Ocon with 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and we're going to be able to pass him easily, but points are off the table. This is going to be a big hit, you know, in our championship picture as well, which is not good. We were trying to fight to stay in the championship battle. There's still a lot of racing to go, so it's not going to be the end of the world. Side by side with Felipe Drugovich, not going to be the day he was looking for. Now a 5-second time penalty, same for Esteban Ocon. Final lap underway now for Max Verstappen as we're rounding the final corner ourselves. We could maybe get Devin Butler and Jake Hughes before this Grand Prix is over. Look at the rain just trucking it down at this point here now, but we're going to make a deep lunge, and I can't even stop the car. Not what I wanted to do. I was not trying to run into the side pod of Butler, but fortunately we get away without any penalty or warning, so we take P15, and it's going to be a chance to pass Hughes, but it's not going to be close enough. It's Max Verstappen. For the first time this season, he's led from start to finish. He did lose the lead early to Sainz, but was able to get it back. And for the first time this season, Max Verstappen is finally going to win a Grand Prix. The defending champion is back, and it's at Red Bull's home in the Austrian Grand Prix, while myself am going to end up a lap down in 15th place. Embarrassing. This project tire from Pirelli, in my opinion, was a complete embarrassment, and I think this has ruined their reputation. I think Pirelli is done after today now. Driver of the day, Calimere, just outside the points.
So as they climb out of the car, the Red Bull team are ready and waiting to celebrate a thoroughly deserved win. Well, Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today, but what set them apart from the rest?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and had the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into first place here today.
I think we have got a lot of news on the way in these coming episodes as this last half of the season, you know, kind of develops. You know, there's storylines that we are paying attention to. Verstappen, who just wins today, what does his future look like? Does he stick with Red Bull, or is he going to, you know, seek something new out for the first time in his career? Charles Leclerc, what's going to happen with him? Is he going to stay with Ferrari or not? Likelihood is currently pointing towards no. And now we have this disaster of a experimentation with Pirelli that really might put them at a very low odds of staying as the tire, you know, developer for Formula One going into next season. I think Bridgestone is licking their chops right now. Piastri with the podium on Aston Martin. Aiden Jackson, P3. Albon only got P6. And obviously we find ourselves, you know, a little bit further out of the championship battle after a race like that, down in P15. Just not what we were looking for. We are now 53 back. Jackson out in front by 6 points over Alex Albon. Verstappen 96 back, so it's McLaren, Red Bull, your top 4 in the drivers. Now in the constructors, we're 143 back. It's going to be very difficult to get into the constructors battle, I think, but it's not over yet. That's going to wrap it up for me. I honestly don't remember where we're racing in the next episode, but we'll find out. So I'll see you guys then. Have a great day, everybody.